Hey guys, my name is Nick, and I sing for the band COHEN. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the meaning behind the songs on our debut album, Happy, which came out on October 26th. The first song of the album is called I Am. It's essentially an internal dialogue between me and everyone in my life I care about. It's basically me saying the things I wish I could say to them, but I can't, so I say them in my head. When I deal with depressive episodes or anxiety, as long as I've been dealing with them, sometimes I don't know why I feel the way I do. And sometimes even if I know where my problems stem from, I still don't fully understand them. I feel kind of like a burden to myself. And in that I feel like since I can't fully comprehend why I am the way I am a burden to those that I care about. The song is essentially me talking about how I put up a front and always have when it comes to the ones in my life asking me if I'm alright. I tell them I am, even though it's not true. This is the second track on the album. It's definitely one of the more challenging songs I ever had to write. I released it as a single back in June of 2018. It was the first time I had ever publicly talked about my eating disorders. And for the better half of the last decade, I have dealt with and still deal with issues pertaining to bulimia and anorexia. More frequently now, I still deal with issues concerning body dysmorphia. And these are all factors that have greatly affected me. Fix was kind of a way for me to vent about all of that, since I had never really touched upon these issues before in anything I've ever written. I'd never opened up about that to anyone except my closest friends. It wasn't even anybody in my family. For the most part, whenever I was heavily engrossed in that mentality and that way of life, my mentality was that I deserved the way I was feeling. Fix was basically me venting about all that, about how I felt like there was nothing I could really do, and I needed to keep continuing my patterns. The third song on the record is The Old Me. That was actually one of the first songs we ever wrote. Collectively, we all hated it for the longest time, and we had talked about scrapping it for the album. It ended up being one of my favorite tracks I've ever written. The song, in short, is not necessarily about me longing for my youth, but in a sense longing for my mentality I had when I was younger. Definitely not anything good about being complacent in many aspects, but growing up before I truly became self-aware, almost naive to how the world really was, before I started getting bullied, and I started having problems with my weight, issues with myself, problems in my life in general, whether it be in school, family. There was a point in time where I was kind of unaware of all that, and I felt better about myself as a whole. That song is basically about that state of mind. The fourth song on the album is Dramatist. I'm conceptualizing the record probably the middle of 2016, back before we even had our first single out. I knew kind of what I wanted the album to encompass as far as like a general theme, and the title for the album was originally going to be Dramatist. At the time, I was a librarian in my college's town, and we got like a play theater magazine called Dramatist, and I don't know why something about the name just stuck with me. The song is essentially a metaphor to where you perceive life as like a play where you are the screenwriter and the dramatist in a sense, and you are in charge of the script, and you are in charge of everyone you have in your play. You're in charge of the rising action and the climax and the downfall of your play. And I tie that in with my own life and how my self-awareness, there's a lot of internal issues in myself. I have difficulty assuming responsibility for certain things. Not in that I believe I'm not responsible, but in the sense that like I don't like having the responsibility of being in control of main things, like letting people in and out of my life because of how easily I become attached to also vices as well, whether it be an unhealthy relationship or a substance. Dramatist is basically about that internal dichotomy between assuming responsibility and doing something to benefit yourself, and also not wanting to, and then succumbing to those detrimental vices or substances.
My imperfections comprise my self-image!
Track 5 on the record is No Rainbow, and that was also one of the first songs we ever wrote. Probably the only song on the record that touches directly on depression as like the general overall theme. I basically outline different factors within myself that stem from my depression, and the chorus really touches upon my mindset and opening up about depression to people, which is something I've struggled with doing before, because for me personally, in the past when I have done that, I feel like I've been shut down by certain people. They just tell me to get over it. That really weighs heavily in on my psyche when thinking about my depression, and that wants me to keep internalizing it. That's basically what the bulk of the song is about. I can work through things on my own without anyone else's help. Not a healthy mindset at all. It's just my state of mind as it has been for about the past 10 years. Track 6 on the record is In Pen. That was a difficult song to put together. I had the lyrics written for a long time, a general theme, which stemmed into some of my favorite lyrics I've written. The song is basically about preemptive fear as a whole that I have. I have a lot of anxiety problems, which makes me want to inhibit myself from doing certain things out of fear of bad things happening. Because of that impending fear, I've missed opportunities, I've missed out on certain things out of fear of the unknown or the vast number of possibilities of what could happen. I touch upon that. The other side of that is also, in doing so, I realize that trusting my intuition with certain things, which it has paid off before, and missing things and missing opportunities and wasting time and blowing my chances. It comes with the other side of that, in that I am doing exactly that, and it's a struggle I have between not seeking out things out of pain and then also the pain I face and being alone and missing out on these opportunities. Track 7 on the album is Ache, and that was a track we wrote early 2017, and that track means more to me than I could probably put to a short video. But essentially, throughout most of college, I was in almost the first 3 years of me being in college, I was in a relationship that was heading south, and I wrote Ache, the lyrics to Ache, a couple months before I ended the relationship, with in the back of my head knowing I was going to. The song is basically about when a relationship is stagnating out, whatever it may be, if the relationship is just not going anywhere. You might both know it, but no one wants to speak up and end things because it's painful to end things. Ache is basically about having to swallow your pride, swallow the pain, and ending things for the better. Track 8 is Lovesick. That's one of the first songs that we ever wrote for the album, and that song is as a general overall theme, is about falling out of love with someone. Basically soaking in the mindset of self-pity whenever a relationship ends abruptly and you're left with all these confusing emotions, anxieties. You're feeling bad about yourself, you're losing sleep, you're just going through every negative emotion and thought in your head, and you're putting yourself to blame for every single thing while negating any outside factors. Lovesick is essentially an encapsulation of a bunch of realizations made after a relationship ends. Filthy Perfection is the 9th track on the album, and it's essentially the tale to Lovesick's head. It's essentially the flip in the state of mind after reflecting on the relationship and realizing that you're not completely at fault for the way things turned out. And it is about taking in all factors and realizing that the other person should be held accountable for their own actions. Track 10 on the album is Closed Casket. That song was written before we were even a band. Our former drummer brought us that song from his old project, and we rewrote a bit of the structure. And the song never had the lyrics originally, and I put my lyrics over that. The song is what I feel is really the only directly angry song on the album in terms of the variety of emotions I believe each song in the album incorporates. Closed Casket is, in short, an open letter to people from my hometown and people in the school I went to that really helped shape my image of myself and bullied me. And while I still deal with a number of issues to this day, I have found a sense of purpose and belonging in the music I write, and art is a creative outlet and form of expression for me, which is something I didn't have until the latter half of high school. And while I still struggle to find a large portion of my purpose in life, to me, I'm comfortable knowing that I have music and art, and that's something that those people that put me down can't take away from me. Track 11 on the album is Hindsight, which is personally the hardest song I think I've ever had to write. My grandma was my best friend growing up. She literally lived across the street from me, and we hung out. I spent so much time with her, and then from the time I was 15, 16, we grew distant just because I became busy with certain things in my life. She got really sick, and she ended up dying the latter half of my senior year of high school. And I've struggled with so much guilt and not giving her the time of day in her final year of life. And that song has in my head been in the works ever since probably a couple weeks after she died. To finally have it out now the way it is, I've never been more proud of a song, because I built that song from the ground up, just me and my piano. I wanted to write a song where I could almost open up and just spill out all the frustration I built up in my heart over the past 5 years to my grandma, and in a sense get closure with her through the song. And though it is not a heavy song instrumentally by any means, I feel it's probably the heaviest song I've ever written. The title track and last song on the album, Happy, is along with Hindsight, probably the most proud I've ever been of a song, to try to fit the entire connotation of the album into one song. The song is basically broken into 5 parts. Part 1 is me admitting to myself that I'm not happy with the way I am in aspects of my life. Part 2 is me listing different emotions and mentalities that I feel in place of me being happy. Issues that I'm dealing with, fears and apprehensions and adversity I'm struggling with in my head. Part 3 is me talking about ways that I cope through trying to write and channel these feelings into my art. Part 4 is the internal struggle of whether or not it's actually worth anything. Because maybe I'm never truly going to work through this, I'm always going to feel this way. And part 5 is me resolving into that mindset that whether or not things truly get better, I'm still here.